Picture a stick figure standing in front of a single sheet of paper, pen hovering just above it, never quite touching down. Not because they're lazy, because it has to be perfect. The first line has to be perfect, so the first line never gets written. Maybe you know that feeling. The project you keep almost starting. The message you draft and delete. The dream that stays a dream because the real version might not be good enough. We tell ourselves this is just high standards, that we simply care more than other people. But often it's something quieter hiding underneath. So tonight, let's slow down and talk gently about the trap of perfectionism, how chasing perfect keeps you stuck, and how done, again and again, quietly beats perfect. 7 calm truths for the part of you so tired of waiting to be ready. Before we begin, let's be honest about what perfectionism actually is, because we've dressed it up for years. We treat it like a virtue. But real perfectionism isn't about loving quality. It's about fearing judgment. It's the belief that if the work is flawless, then you are safe. No one can criticize you, reject you, or see that you're still learning. So you polish and delay and wait for a better moment that never comes. The cost is invisible at first. Then you look up and realize how many things you never started, never finished, never shared. Over the next few minutes, we'll walk through 7 truths that loosen that grip, not to make you careless, but to set you free to begin. None of this is about doing more. It's about doing at all. First truth. Perfectionism is usually fear wearing a respectable mask. On the surface, it looks like ambition, like caring deeply, like refusing to settle. But sit with it quietly and you'll often find something tender underneath, a fear of being judged, of being found out, of discovering that your best wasn't enough. Perfectionism is what fear becomes when it learns to sound impressive. It whispers that if you just get it perfect, you'll finally be safe, beyond criticism. But that safety never arrives, because the bar keeps rising. The closer you get, the more flaws you notice. Ambition pulls you towards something you want. Perfectionism pushes you away from something you dread. Naming it honestly, this is fear, not standards, is the first gentle step toward loosening its hold. Here's something small to try. The next time you feel that familiar resistance, the urge to wait, to polish, to not begin, pause and ask one quiet question. What am I actually afraid of here? Not the surface answer about quality, but the real one underneath. Afraid of looking foolish, of trying hard and still falling short. You don't have to fix the fear. Just name it kindly. Often, simply seeing it clearly takes half its power away. Second truth. Perfect is an imaginary finish line that keeps moving. We picture perfect as a fixed place, a summit we'll one day reach, where the work is done and we can rest. But perfect doesn't sit still. Every time you improve, your taste improves a little faster, so the gap between what you made and what you imagine never quite closes. That's why the most careful people often feel the least finished. They're not failing, they're chasing a horizon, and a horizon retreats as you walk toward it. If you wait until something is perfect to call it done, you'll wait forever. The goal was never to reach a flawless finish line. It was to keep walking, to let each imperfect step quietly carry you somewhere real. So try setting the finish line yourself, on purpose, before you begin. Decide in advance what good enough looks like, not perfect, just genuinely good enough to count. Maybe it's a word count, a time limit, or a checklist of 3 must-haves. When you hit it, you stop. You call it done, even if your taste is whispering that it could be better. It can always be better. The skill is letting it be finished anyway, and trusting the next attempt to carry the improvement. Third truth. Done is better than perfect, almost every single time. This isn't a slogan to lower your standards, it's a quiet fact about how value works in the real world. A finished, imperfect thing exists. People can use it, read it, learn from it. A perfect thing still trapped in your head helps no one. Done teaches you something. Unfinished perfection only teaches you to keep waiting. And here's the gentle paradox. The path to genuinely good work runs straight through a pile of finished, mediocre work. The writer you admire wrote pages they'd now cringe at. They became good by finishing again and again, while you were still polishing the first attempt. Done is how you get to good. Perfect is just how you stay stuck. Try this the next time something matters to you. Choose to finish it badly on purpose. Set a timer. Do the whole thing. Start to end without stopping to fix anything, and let it be rough. The point isn't to make bad work, it's to break the spell that finishing requires perfection. Once you've crossed the finish line once, ugly and all, doing it again gets so much easier. Fourth truth: the first version only has to exist, not be good. Perfectionism collapses the whole journey into a single impossible moment. It demands that the first draft already be the final draft, that the first attempt already be mastery. No wonder you freeze. You're not afraid of working, you're afraid of the gap between the beautiful thing in your mind and the clumsy thing your hands first make. But that gap isn't a sign you're failing. It's the normal starting point of everything anyone has ever made. The first version is just raw material, something to react to and slowly improve. Its only job is to exist. You can't edit a blank page. You can only edit what you were brave enough to begin. So give yourself permission, out loud if it helps. This first version is allowed to be bad. Say it before you start. Then make the worst possible version on purpose. The ugly sketch, the messy outline, the single rough paragraph. Lower the bar until starting feels almost silly, almost too easy to refuse. You're not building the final thing yet. You're just giving future you some clay to shape instead of an empty, intimidating blank. Fifth truth: high standards help you, but perfectionism quietly paralyzes you, and they are not the same thing. High standards say, I care about this, so I'll keep working to make it better. Perfectionism says, this isn't good enough yet, so I can't let it out, can't even begin. One is an engine, the other is a brake pressed to the floor. High standards live alongside action. You ship, you learn, you refine. You refine, you refine, you refine. Perfectionism lives instead of action. You wait, you stall, you hide from being measured. The test is honest. Is your standard helping you move or keeping you frozen? If it has produced only delay and dread, that isn't high standards. That's fear, and you're allowed to set it down. Here's a quiet check you can run anytime. Ask, in the last month, what has my standard actually produced? Finish things, or a longer list of things I haven't started. Be gentle but truthful. If the standard is creating progress, keep it. That's craft. If it's only creating stalling and self-criticism, name it and deliberately lower it, just enough to start moving again. A standard that stops you isn't serving the work, it's only serving the fear. Sixth truth: you learn by shipping and getting feedback, not by polishing in private. Perfectionism keeps your work hidden, telling you it isn't ready for other eyes yet. But hidden work can't teach you much. Alone with it, you only ever see your own blind spots reflected back. The moment something real meets the real world, you learn things you could never have guessed in your head. What lands, what confuses, what you can let go. Feedback isn't a verdict on your worth. It's information you cannot get any other way. Once you accept that the first attempt will be imperfect, the pressure drops. You just have to begin, share, listen, and adjust. That loop, repeated, is how everyone gets good. So pick one thing you've been polishing in private and let one safe person see it before it's ready. Not the whole world, just one kind, honest pair of eyes. Tell them it's a work in progress, then ask a single specific question. What's one thing that's unclear, or one thing that works? Practice receiving the answer as information, not judgment. The goal isn't praise. It's the freeing habit of letting your work leave your hands while it's still imperfect. Seventh truth: your worth was never your output. This is the soft one underneath all the others. Perfectionism survives because somewhere along the way, you started to believe that what you produce is what you're worth, that a flawless result would prove you're good enough, and a flawed one would expose that you're not. But you are not your work. A rough draft doesn't make you a failure, and a polished masterpiece wouldn't make you whole. Your worth isn't a score that rises and falls with your latest attempt. It's simply, quietly there underneath all of it. When you stop using your output to measure your value, you can make imperfect things and still be completely worthy the entire time, because you always were. So tonight, try gently separating the two. When you finish something imperfect, say to yourself, this is the work, and it can be flawed, and that is the person, and they are still okay. Picture them as two different things, because they are. Let the word be judged, improved, even criticized, while you stay quietly steady underneath. Practice this small separation enough times, and the fear that fuels perfectionism slowly loses its grip, because there's no longer anything fragile to protect. So let's gather the 7, slowly, before you go. Perfectionism is usually fear wearing a respectable mask. Perfect is an imaginary finish line that keeps moving, so it never arrives. Done is better than perfect, almost every single time. The first version only has to exist, not be good. High standards help you move, while perfectionism quietly keeps you frozen. You learn by shipping and getting honest feedback, not by polishing alone. And underneath all of it, your worth was never your output. It was simply there the whole time. Notice the thread running through them all. Not lower your standards, not stop caring, but begin. Begin before you're ready, finish before it's perfect, and let progress matter more than flawlessness. The thing you keep waiting to do perfectly is waiting only for you to do it badly first. So choose one small thing tonight, and let yourself begin it imperfectly. That's the whole secret. Be gentle with yourself as you start. You're allowed to be a work in progress, so take care.